Spirit Award winner. This year it's Roy Rosen. And Roy is here with his wife, Mary Ann, and his daughter, Debbie, with Jerry, with his daughter, oh boy, I was writing too fast. Denise, Laura, and Laura's the granddaughter. But Roy's got a bunch of people here, and Roy always had a lot of people around him. And Roy, to me, was one of the most important things as far as his contribution to hockey was the development of the Webster Groves recreation complex, which included an ice rink. Roy really went to town on that and canvassed in Webster and worked hard with segments of society that normally maybe wouldn't get out and give him the vote, but Roy was a tremendous building block in the Webster Groves ice rink. Roy also did a great deal for the youth hockey players. He used to sharpen skates for free. He'd be at the games. He was just a hockey guy. And the only time I was a little bit nervous about Roy was when CBC would play Webster Groves, and our CBC kids would go get their skates sharpened over at Roy's house. Because we knew Roy had a little purple and gold on top, but we knew down below it was a Webster black and orange. And he always had kind of that little smirk on his face when he would come in when maybe CBC had an off night and Webster had a good night. But he never rubbed your face in it, but you knew you kind of got a little bit of a shot. But Roy, congratulations to you and all the years of service that you've given to youth hockey, and especially with the Webster Groves Ice Rink, was, I think, is a testimonial to your involvement. So Roy, it's all yours.
The nicest people in the world come through our back door. That's what my wife has always said. I would like to have my wife stand up, and I would like all you guys who had skate sharpened thank her, because she's had the house that we used to get dirty and took me away from all the time for her family. So please, thank my wife. We've been married for 65 years and haven't killed each other yet. In 1967, my son started to play hockey. And I was assigned the job helping Bob Collette on the ice. Big mistake, because I didn't know anything about hockey. But I did find out that you could not get your skates sharpened anywhere in the city, mainly because they had not good machines and they didn't know what they were doing. And they didn't give a darn a lot of times. They hired some 15-year-old boy to do something and didn't know how to show him what to do or anything else. So you got a bad job. So I told Bob to just forget about me for next year. I was going to do something that other people should have. I started to build a skate sharpening outfit during the summer months. With the blessing of my boss and my supervisors, I asked them if I could raid their junk pile, seriously raid their junk pile, to make a skate sharpener. And I worked all summer, and the first thing I did is I made a skate straightener. If your skates are not straight, you can't sharpen them right. I was interested in getting the boys to skate good and to have a good underpinning underneath them, and that's what I aim for. I worked all summer, and my skate sharpener was so big and so powerful that I could probably sharpen the skate in 2 or 3 minutes. If somebody would take the laces loose and file the burrs and take the burrs off of them, I could do a pair of skates in 3 minutes. I would take a whole team and do them in a half hour or an hour. Let's see. I was a machinist, and we had the rules: you measure something 6 times and do it right once. And if all the pairs of skates that I've done, if I had done something wrong, I would be embarrassed. But when they left my house, I had one bit of advice. That watch your first hockey stop, it's going to be a dilly, and it was. It was. The only real complaints I had on what I did was the kids would say they're too damn sharp. Well, they would have to go over to the sides and dull them down a little bit on the boards, but after the first hockey game, they realized that they were good. Now, in those years, the kids cut grass all summer long and earned $40 to buy a pair of Black Panther skates. In those days, that was the best, not the best, but that was what the kids went for. Then they would take them into some shop, and they would ruin them. They would literally ruin them. And that's time to cry. That is. Because they worked all. I remember my son's first try, we sent him 3 different places and nobody sharpened them right. And that's how I got into this. Because you couldn't get them done right. Well, I worked all summer, and finally, when it came time to put the ice down, I was still working hard and getting all this done, but I made it, and we started sharpening skates when the season opened. I first started to do the Webster skates, and of course, then the people from Kirkwood came in. The Enemy, we sharpened them too. No distinction of one or the other. Then we went to Afton. We didn't go to Afton. They all came to me. We did Afton, Kirkwood, CBC, Blazers, Americans, Blues, and lots of other people in the country. In 1972, I went to work for Jim Jost. Now you've got 2 guys that are really into it. Jim could put the money into it, but I didn't have money. I had to give the hockey teams time, and I gave generously of my time, which I'm really proud of. Okay. Oh, incidentally, I was goal judge for Jim Jost's teams for 25 years. You never saw me because I was back by the dressing rooms. Also, in 1984, Dave Garth became manager of the Webster rink. And here we go again. Not only was I sharpening all of Webster's skates, but here we go with working at Webster Rink for free. Everything is for free all the time. Well, you know that between Dave Garth, Jim Jost, and Bob Collette, I was with 3 of the best people in hockey at least in West County and South County. I retired in 1987, and I made one rule: when you rush me, I quit. They always come up to me and say, "Now, we don't want to rush you, but can you?" And I did. In 1994, I became part of Residents for Recreation, and that was to bring about the ice rink and the swimming pool and everything for Webster. And I had the job of talking to the senior citizens, like sticking your head in a meat grinder. We needed 57%, I think. But anyway, we made it. And the mayor called me the big bamboozler of the senior citizens. In 2012, we're still going strong. And I have no idea of how many pairs of skates I sharpened, but I did a tremendous amount of work for the Webster Groves complex. I built the boys' hockey room, which is as good as what the Blues have. I built them a trophy case. I built oodles and gobs of chairs and benches and what have you, the crow's nest or whatever you want to call it, where it is above the ice. And I have no idea of how many pairs of skates I have, maybe 10, 15, 20, and you add the zeros, but there were a lot, and all for free. Thank you very much.